Welcome to From Caving In to Crushing It, the podcast for those who find themselves immersed in adversity and choose to write their story instead of having others write it for them. I'm Drew Deraney, and I'm your host. David Quick, good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, likewise, Drew.
So it's funny, David, of all the guests I've had, and you're going to be like probably episode 170 or something like that. I think you're the one I met the longest ago, back in 2020, which leads me to thank. I always thank the person who introduced me to my guest. So Chris Lipper is going to get a direct public thank you right now. Thank you, Chris. I remember being on one of your networking, VANG, VANG, virtual. Do you remember what that stood for, Dave?
Virtual Area Networking Group, I
There we
believe.
go. VANG. Never heard that word before, but it's a cool acronym. So thank you, Chris Lipper. So David, the my audience is always in the beginning, they always know I talk about how when we're young, we're taught that life is linear, that life is a straight line. If we do A plus B plus C, D is going to happen. It's not malicious thinking. They want the best for us. And for the most part, life is linear until it's not. Until ultimately there's an external circumstance that gets in the way of one of those letters and derails our straight path in life to a more circuitous one. When that happens, that's when adversity rears its ugly head. Sometimes we see the adversity and sometimes we don't. When we see it, we have a choice. With that, I say there's three types of men. You have man number one, who's got a ton of blind spots. He doesn't even see the adversity. He's just living life the way he's told to live, and he doesn't change anything. I don't have man number one on this show. Then there's man number two. Man number two sees the adversity, yet he says it's a barrier. He's the victim. Everybody else is to blame. Life's doing it to him, and he can't change anything. It is what it is, and he lives on autopilot. On his deathbed, boy, does he have a ton of regrets. I don't have man number two on this show. Now, I do have man number three on this show. That's David Quick. Man number three has a heightened self awareness, sees the adversity, and says, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. This adversity is not a barrier, it's an opportunity to do something different, take massive action, and become a stronger man on the other side. So, with all of that, David, if you could reach back as far as you need to for that defining moment in life, whether it was the tap on the shoulder, the whisper in the ear, or what I needed, two by four upside my head, that transformed you from the man you used to be, man number one or two or both, to the man you are now, and how that transformation has impacted you personally and professionally. Would you care to share that defining moment with us?
Yeah, sure, Drew. Yeah, thinking about it, and I gave it quite a bit of thought. My biggest transition was when I left my full-time job
Mm.
back in early 2018 to go into business full-time. Because prior to that, I had been running the business kind of as a side gig. I started this is in 2008, but it was more of a side job to the real business. And I was a very, shall we say, very reserved person. I liked having a full-time job. I was I was not much of an extrovert. This goes all the way back to my childhood. I never talked in school. Always took the sure and easy path. Um, but deep down, I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Going back to my teens when I helped my uncle in the flea markets,
Mhm.
that I kind of got the bug then, I believe, looking back on it. But I didn't do anything with it. I just went to college. What's expected of you? You got a full-time job, got another full-time job. And while these were great jobs, I was comfortable, but there was still something that was unresolved because I had given into my timidness and just kind of just took the easy path. So it came to a head in around 2017, where and my job was a great job, and it was in the scope of the job was actually increasing, which it made it such that I had to devote more time to it and less time to my business.
Right.
So I had to make a choice. Did I want to continue being in a job for, say, the next 15 or 20 years, working for somebody else, or did I want to go full on into my business and just dive right into it and take the risk?
Mhm.
And that was a pivotal moment for me because my natural inclination is not to do it because I want to be comfortable.
Right.
Uh, but I made a decision, and I think in the end, it was the only decision I could make because it was inside of me all along
Right.
that I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
So that overcame all my trepidations, and I just did it.
Wow. So what business were you in working full time?
Uh, Total Cover IT. I had started Total Cover IT as a company
Okay.
in 2008. So I
Okay.
basically I filed the paperwork and I had a company. But there's more I learned there's more to it than that.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
and again, um, I thought that I could build the business while I was working full time.
Hmm.
Again, the safe and easy route.
Right.
I
Exactly.
had the steady income, and I could go out and get clients and do the work and grow the company. But what I realized is the two that were not uh, cannot coexist.
Right. Right.
Uh, they cannot coexist.
Were
Um,
you in IT full time while you had the IT business on the side, or
yes,
you were?
yes. I've been in IT for I'm dating myself about close to 30 years.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
about my last full-time role was as IT director for a regional accounting firm here in New Jersey.
Okay.
I had started that in 2000, and that was the
Oh,
job I was
wow.
working when I finally decided to just go into business full time.
Wow.
And again, it was a great job, and
Sure.
it was I when I landed the job, I was in IT for only 3 years. I got my first full job that was a really wide scope as IT director. I was very
Right.
excited about it early on, and it was a great job. We accomplished quite a bit, and we transformed the firm through implementing technology upgrades. And it was great. And but the job uh, was a job,
Right.
and I was building someone else's dream and not mine.
That is a wonderful point right there because we don't often realize when we're doing it that we are building somebody else's dream. So Dave, when it got to that point where you wanted to work full time on your own business, uh, and I know how challenging it must have been to leave that job. How did you approach the boss, and how did they take the news that you were going to leave to go on your own?
Yeah, I mean, I was very low key about it. I mean, I pulled the co-managing partner aside, and I let him know that I wanted to leave. Um, and uh, he passed it along to the partner that oversees the IT, and I worked with him, and it was not really. I think I think they were surprised a bit because I don't think they expected me to leave.
Hmm.
Um, so uh, it was interesting, and yet they had actually asked me to stay an extra month just to make sure that everything was handed off in a very smooth way. They had hired another IT staff member, so it worked out pretty well
Right.
that I was able to hand over my function to the other person, and they just took over. Um, no, I think there was some surprise, but um, my overseeing partner, he was very gracious about it. They even had a little party for me and one other person
Oh,
that was leaving.
yeah.
So it was a very cordial departure. It was very above board and very cordial, and everybody all the staff that I worked with over the years
Hmm.
were happy for me for what I wanted to do. I had, yeah, again, I said it's just I needed to grow, and that was the way I framed it, which was true. I wanted to grow
Wonderful.
by focusing on my business, and everybody was very happy for me,
Good.
and it was very well, very cordial, polite.
That's great to hear because sometimes those don't turn out cordial, but they understood. And I like the way you put it. You're looking to grow. And I'm sure the individuals there had been at that spot sometime in their life where they needed to grow. So after you made that move, and do you remember the day like you when you actually left for the last time and you went home and then you looked around and say, okay, I have an existing business at home. Now I'm here full time. Now what? How prepared were you to be a full-time entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, I literally I walked out of the building and got in my car. I'm like, wow, I'm not coming back.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so it was interesting. We it got off to a good start. I actually had a consulting appointment the day after, so
Okay.
we just got into a good jump start and just got into it and got into the business. It got a little bit of getting used to. It
Yeah.
was a bit of getting used to it for me, not having to frame my day in getting to my employer,
Right.
working to the kind of the 9-ish to 5-ish
Hmm.
uh, uh, time frame. Although
Right. Right.
very often I stayed late, worked weekends for them,
Wow.
handled emergencies and
Yep.
such. Not having that to some degree was a big lift off my shoulders because I know
Mhm.
it was great that I didn't have to um, uh, live two lives. I was living two
Yes.
lives.
Yes. 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 Again, very good point with the living two lives. And it's very different. I remember when I ended up making the move, managing my calendar was my biggest challenge. It still is a challenge for me. How'd you handle managing your calendar where you owned it now and someone else didn't own it anymore?
Yeah, what I learned to do is to schedule my time
Yeah.
on my calendar, even if it was not a formal appointment per se.
Right.
This block of time was for doing this. This time was for doing content creation. This time was for um, technical development.
Right.
But I just framed it on my calendar,
Yep.
scheduled blocks of time,
Hmm.
do certain things.
Yep.
And this way, when I actually did schedule appointments with people, I still had that block of time
Right.
available to me. I have blocks of time that I dedicate solely to business development and working in the business
Hmm. Hmm.
because um, one of the things I learned is that uh, people who start businesses, they get so caught up in the business that they don't focus on working in the business. They just
Yeah.
focusing on the day to day,
Absolutely. Yep.
working the clients, servicing the clients, and they get in a never-ending loop of selling and doing.
Right.
They sell,
Exactly.
they
Yep.
get they get the client, and then they do the work, and then while they're doing the work, they're not selling, and all that
Mm-hmm.
time they're
Hmm.
not in business development,
Right. Right.
developing, working in the business.
Right. Absolutely.
That so have blocks of time on my calendar. That's something I learned over time to do.
Yeah.
The first, I mean, the early days might have been a bit more challenging, but I got into it.
Yeah, that's
I'm a
good.
very
The tactic of putting it on your calendar is good because it solidifies it as part of your day rather than forgetting about it. So definitely putting tasks on the calendar is important. Tell us about Total Cover IT, and I love your tagline, "Our eye is on your T." I've always liked that, and I've always liked hearing you deliver that. Tell us about Total Cover IT. What is Total Cover IT, and how do you service your clients?
well, Total Cover IT is a managed IT company focusing on professional services firms, accounting firms, not surprisingly, because I have quite a bit of experience in that area because I spent almost 20 years
Hmm.
working with accounting firms.
Right,
So um, it is industry focused, but not to say that we don't do other types of industries.
right.
But that's our specialty, and we can deliver very high value because I know the workflows. I went
Mhm.
through 17 tax seasons.
Yep.
I know all the software they use.
Hmm.
I know what partners care about and what worries them, and that sort of thing.
Right.
So we're an IT company for accounting firms mainly, but other professional firms as well.
So, if you were to tell me one of your favorite client success stories, what would that story be?
This was an interesting client, a little bit outside our normal scope, but they are an assisted living company, very large one. You would know the name if I mentioned it.
Hmm.
And probably at the time, this goes back to probably around 2014,
Right.
2015. Um, we got in touch with them through the CEO.
Hmm.
The CEO was the owner of a care facility that we had done some uh, work on installing wireless to their facility, and he was one of the partners in that business. So he had some challenges with his IT.
Hmm.
Um, Interestingly, they didn't have many IT people. He was basically he was the IT, and he brought us in. And it was an interesting case of they had outsourced everything, but
Hmm.
one of the challenges when doing that, it's great if you outsource to another provider because then they can handle everything and handle
Right.
your whole structure.
Right.
Uh, but problem is that if there are challenges with that provider, you're kind of in a trap, so to
Mm.
speak.
Hmm. Yep. Very true.
And they were in a trap. The services were less than stellar, and they wanted to get out of it, and they wanted their own infrastructure.
Okay.
Bear in mind, they had probably at the time they probably had maybe about 15 locations at the
Oh,
time.
wow. Okay.
I believe they have more now.
Right.
So they were growing. So we had to work on it. We put together a project plan. It was an 8-month engagement.
Hmm.
Um, so my team put together a plan, and we worked with the CEO and the management, and we built out infrastructure for them
Okay.
uh,
Great.
in all their locations. And install firewalls, wireless, you name it. We did it. It was a uh, very wide scope project.
Absolutely.
And while we were doing that, we were providing help desk support
Hmm.
for all their users. But number
Good.
at the time about 300 or so users.
Wow. Okay.
So we were handling support issues while we were building out
Right.
all the infrastructure.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, and the engagement, uh, they were very pleased, and we handed it off. We helped them get a IT director, own internal IT director,
Good.
and we
Good.
handed it off to them, and they were very pleased about it. And this is back in 2014, 2015,
Okay.
and they have grown tremendously since then.
Great.
And they now have a full-blown IT department with a CIO. Um,
There you go.
so we laid the foundation for
Absolutely.
them to grow and to get their IT infrastructure in order and structured in the right way.
So that's a great way to put it. You help them lay their foundation, so you could then go to a different contract and help them lay their foundation. And any organization needs a strong foundation because if you put something heavy on a weak foundation, it's going to collapse. So if nothing else, I mean, something that you provide, building that solid foundation for an organization is so crucial, especially when places are starting up, like where the partner was his own IT person. That's a great way to start. So thank you for sharing that. That's a great success story.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. And now there over your left shoulder for those watching, there's a picture of something, and I'm assuming it's a cover of a book because I have a copy of it. Let's see, we show people Winning the Tech in the Age of AI, the Small Business Owner's Guide to Leveraging Technologies like AI to Grow Your Business and Make More Money. The author is David G. Quick. So, since you are David G. Quick, tell us about the book. What made you want to write a book? What's it about, and who does it help?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this book is a culmination of my close to 30 years in IT.
Hmm.
And in the course of my consulting work and IT experience, I've seen many small businesses, I've seen their setups, and more often than not, it's been a disaster. I remember one occasion we were doing an assessment for a title company in Central Jersey, I believe, and it was like spaghetti. There were wires everywhere. There was the equipment hanging by a thread uh, by the networking cable. Like the router I was hanging by networking cable. It was like that.
Wow.
It was a disaster. And at the time when I saw that, I wondered how that all continued to work.
Hmm.
And uh, it was amazing. And they were using a IT consultant who was living in another state and had another job. So this was kind of like a part-time job,
Mm.
and
Okay.
and they were in another state.
Wow.
And ultimately, they decided not to go ahead with us, so they did not engage us.
Mm.
So we just moved on, of course. And maybe about a month or so later, uh, I got wind that their network crashed.
Jeez.
Never,
Okay.
no surprise. I
Exactly.
was not surprised, and they didn't call us, which we were probably about an hour away from them. We could
Really?
have handled the emergency, perhaps,
Right. Right.
but they called their existing IT company,
Okay.
IT person, I should say.
Right.
It was just one person who was in the other state, and so he had to work to get time off from his job,
Oh boy.
so he can drive down from Maryland, I believe it was,
Right.
which is about a 4-hour drive
Jeez.
to fix their problem. So I don't know how many days they were down, um, or how it was ever resolved, but it was it was not I was not surprised that the network crashed, but at the same time, uh, I was doubly surprised that they called their part-time IT person to try to fix it and wait for him to come and fix it.
Right.
So it's a pretty extreme example, but it's things like that which got me to thinking
Hmm.
that small business owners need to be educated
Right.
on how to properly manage IT.
Sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
that it's not just an expense. I mean, they seem to be more in the IT is an expense, do things a cheap way kind of thing.
Hmm.
But it's not uncommon. It's very common as small businesses working to grow their business and make money. And I appreciate that thought. But at the same time, you got to give attention to things that have an impact on your business. And IT, more often than not, doesn't get that focus.
Right.
And so the purpose of the book is to educate small business owners on the importance of IT to a business and not to think about it as just an expense.
Good point.
It's a strategic asset
Yep. Very true.
that can help your business to run more efficiently and grow. And that is a culmination of this book
No, I
to
love that.
help to be the guide to the small business owner.
Right. No, it's a very good point, David. It's got to have a mindset shift going from an expense category to an asset, because IT is an asset, and when it's working for you, it can catapult your business. When it's working against you, it can crumble your business. So, and I know you mentioned about the examples you have in the book, and you just mentioned a couple right there. Pretty powerful, David. So, David, the audience has certainly captured the essence of David Quick, and they're going to want to get in touch with you. So, folks, very simple. You can go on David's website, totalcoverit/meet David Quick. There'll be an online calendar so you can set up time to chat with David. Very enjoyable conversations I've had with David over the time. So please take him up on reaching out to him and getting on his calendar.
Okay, I
Um,
mentioned about the book where they
Oh,
can,
do more. I want to hear more about the book, whatever you want
yeah,
to tell us.
yeah. If you want to find out more about the book, and if you want to buy the book, you can go to, again, I made it very easy, totalcoverit/winning with tech.
Here we go. I'd suggest you pick it up. It's an easy read, easy in a good way. And let me see, he even has a card in here which has a barcode on it, and that you can set up a 26-minute executive book summary with him. Scan the QR code to schedule a 26-minute.
There's actually some information in the back of the book to get in touch with us.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
there's a URL you can go to get more information
Oh, here
and
you
get in
go.
touch with
Yep.
me.
I see. Oh, wonderful. David, I have a couple questions to ask you before we head out here. All right. First one, you're sitting down with 7 to 10-year-old David, and you want to give him advice about life. What are you going to tell him?
Start talking. Meet people. Meet your classmates. Build friendships.
I love it. Start talking. That's that's like the Nike "Just Do It." Will you start talking? I love that. What great advice, because there are so many extroverts and kids that are afraid to talk, and the best way to get connections is to start a conversation. All right. So now you're sitting down with young entrepreneur, young businessman David Quick, and I'm sure you've got some good advice for him. What's some good advice you got for David?
Be persistent.
Hmm.
Be persistent. Get out there and talk to people. Be persistent.
I love it. Absolutely. Well, David, I want to thank you for coming on. Thanks for coming into my life, my friend. You're a good man. And it's almost 6 years since we met. And we still haven't met in person, and we're both in New Jersey. We got to
Yeah,
make
it's
that
not funny.
happen.
We got to
It
get,
it is. It is. We got to make that happen.
indeed.
But anyway, I want to thank you again. You're doing some great stuff for your clients and for the individuals who get to meet you and learn how much of an asset IT is. And it's the your persistence has created a wonderful company, published a wonderful book, and I know you have more to come, man. And I'm looking forward to following you.
Thank you for having me, Drew.
That's my pleasure. Everybody out there, please take care of yourselves. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and give us a review to help others find it. I'd like you to answer this question. Are you living the life you want to live, or are you living the life others want you to live? I'd like you to think about that for a second, because I strongly suggest you live the life you want to live. If you want to learn more about what I stand for and my services and how I'm able to help many men get out of their own way, please go to my website at www.profitcompassion.com. Feel free to also email me at drew@profitcompassion.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Take care of yourself and choose to write your own story instead of letting others write it for you.